might be wondering, how dangerous is liquid nitrogen? And honestly, it is really, really dangerous, but not if you respect the boundaries. Very, very.
Hey guys, I'm sure you've heard the news by now, but we lost Graham.
It's amount of energy to rip through. And so if you're in a survival situation trying to
It's 2015 and you are scrolling your YouTube recommended page when you randomly stumble upon this video. How to open coconuts without any tools. The show is hosted by a smart and sympathetic middle-aged man who just likes to make cool stuff and uploads his passion projects on the internet for everyone to see. He tries to teach people about science and engineering in an interactive and fun way. In this video essay, I will try to summarize the rise and the fall of King of Random. I will start off with a little bit of background about the founder and the main host of King of Random. Grant Thompson was born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada in 1980. At the age of 14, Grant's father bought him a ticket on an ultralight glider.
That's when I knew that I could make decisions that would change my life. I wasn't stuck in one place.
After working on an oil rig in northern Canada, Grant managed to save up enough money to buy a small airplane. And a year later, Grant managed to get a job as a cargo pilot in Hawaii. Once he got enough experience, he moved back to mainland USA and worked 11 years as a commercial airline pilot.
I bought my first house. That's where I met my wife. And
Where I bought my first house.
She bought her house right beside me, and we kept both of them. And we fixed them up, we rented them out, and we kept buying houses, fixing up, renting them out, until we had 11 houses fixed up and rented out. So we got a business in real estate, and the money that was coming in was actually paying for our living expenses, and so we started to have a little bit more freedom with our time. I was still working on the year.
After the estate market crashed, they sold the houses and invested the money they had.
What I ended up coming with was I would love to just do things that I love and make videos about it.
This was the time of the Wall Street market crash in 2008, and a lot of people started talking about this financial crisis, about people surviving in the wilderness, living off grid. This got him thinking about how things work and how to take care of things easier and in your own backyard without the need of money.
So what I decided to do was devote my life to learning. I wanted to learn how to weld, I wanted to learn how to make circuit boards, I wanted to learn how to be Tony Stark, I wanted to learn how light bulbs work and be able to explain everything around me. The problem I was finding is that as I was going around to universities and colleges looking for programs that taught this, I couldn't find anything that would meet those needs. So what I decided to do instead was try a course of online study, the School of Grant Thompson. Pick something that I'm interested in and learn as much as I can about it until I can recreate it at home using household materials.
And in all my years in college, I've never seen anybody work as hard at studying as Grant did.
So thus was born the King of Random. So to make a really long story short, what ended up happening is as I was tinkering with things and making discoveries, I was learning about things that aren't taught anywhere else. Really, I was learning about how to generate electricity, how to make motors, how to play with high voltage, and how to make rocket fuel and things of this nature. And every time I'd go to somebody's house and just talk about these things I was learning, they would look at me like, who are you? Where did you come from? Like, why do you know this stuff? That is so random. And one friend in particular, every time I'd come over and he'd listen to this stuff, he'd be like, you know what? You are like the king of random. So because I was coming into all this new knowledge that wasn't really shared, I decided what I was going to do is become the man. I was going to step up and bring content to YouTube in a very condensed, concise formula of how to do things that aren't usually done and make discoveries, inventions, and bring them to the world in a package where I've done all the prototyping and experimenting.
One of the main ideas behind his channel was, what if the society fell? Would we be able to rebuild all the industry and economy? Even before posting his first YouTube video, he had a lot of conversations with his wife about the future of internet fame, and the YouTube environment. He found a hole in the market of quick and easy to follow educational videos and tutorials and managed to fill it with his interesting format. The channel The King of Random was started in 2010. The channel featured interesting ideas, experiments, and DIY engineering projects like sugar rocket fuel, induction metal furnace, or backyard electrolysis station. But some of his most popular videos very often contained large amounts of something like dry ice or liquid nitrogen, or just melting random stuff in his metal foundry. But personally, one of my most favorites were electrical arc furnace and clay from dirt. I remember starting one of his projects with my grandpa too. I think it was the rocket fuel one. I never finished it, but I enjoyed my time with my grandpa nevertheless. He hit 10k in 3 videos, which is one of the greatest stars I ever saw on YouTube. After the channel started popping off on YouTube, Grant was able to start working more on the channel and less in the airlines. And maybe 40 to 50 videos in, Grant hit 100,000 subscribers. It was March of 2013. The young YouTube algorithm was not understood well at the time. Some of his videos were not very popular in the beginning, but right now most of them have well over 5 million views. In the December of 2016, the King of Random hit its most successful month, 114 million views and 523,000 subscribers. After the peak, the average amount of views stopped at around 60 to 70 million per month and 100,000 to 200,000 subscribers per month for the next 3 years. Right now, his view count sits at 3.3 billion views.
At some point, he put out a video where he said that he was looking to hire an assistant, a behind-the-scenes person who could help him prototype his projects, get them working, making sure everything about them looked good, worked well, and then help him get them ready to present for camera.
Nate later managed to get the job and started working for the King of Random. But a few weeks after hiring Nate, Grant suffered a very bad burnout and called Nate during his vacation and said to him that he wants to end his YouTube career, but Nate suggested that he could be the one in the videos instead.
Originally, Grant's idea was he was just gonna stop. He just was gonna disappear and put me in with no explanation and just have me be the guy in front of the camera. I thought that was a bad idea. I told him that. He barely knew me and didn't really take my opinion to value much at the time. So fortunately, he got talked out of that, and then we spent 12, 15 videos sort of phasing him out. We would do videos together. It'd be like, oh, here's both of us, and then it would be one of him, and then it'd be both of us, and then it'd be one of me, and then it'd be both of us again, and then one of him. And so we'd sort of just bounce back and forth, getting the audience used to me being on camera.
He wasn't the only employee of the King of Random though.
So there were a couple other people who he had already hired. So Mark, as the cameraman, had been around for a while, maybe about a year, something like that. And he also had a guy named Hunter who was an editor. And I believe when he told me that he wasn't going to do it anymore, they were actually let go and then hired back on as soon as he decided, yeah, we're going to try with the new host. I became the host, making videos. I just wasn't good at making eye contact with the camera. It felt weird to me. I got used to it. Again, practice. I just want to throw in here into this timeline the legal issues that some people remember that Grant ran into. And so I want to give a little bit of history for that. Grant wanted to form a team of people to help come up with cool ideas, to do cool and fun projects with, to collaborate and work on things with. And so he reached out to, I think it was mostly other people who applied for what was now my job and said, hey, I'd love to still work with you and do these cool things. So he would have these meetups where he would invite all these people who loved science and tech and building and engineering.
In one of these thinking meetups, Nate invited a friend of his who was interested in pyrotechnics. He brought and mixed some chemicals, but upon mixing, the two powders legally became an explosive and couldn't be transported, so he left them in separate packets. One of the guys on the meeting was a foreigner working on one of the projects. He maybe forgot what should have been done not to encounter any problems with the explosive and lit all the packets. The explosion was very loud and fire department was called on them. Grant was charged with making dry ice bombs, which was not illegal in USA at the time, so they added some more charges, making fireworks illegally. He got probation and had to make 2 videos about safety.
All we did was, I didn't make any more fireworks. Well, I never had made fireworks. He didn't make any more fireworks. And we weren't planning to do that on the channel anyway. And anything that was going to be particularly loud, we stopped doing at the house. We would do that up at what we called the Dome, which is a large concrete dome on some private property the owners let us use. So videos did not change because of the legal stuff. We just didn't do loud things at the house.
Later, Kaylee was hired as a female host who can attract female audience too. Nate has known her from his previous job. The next year was pretty normal in the views and work.
The channel was doing very well at this point, and it was actually doing much better than some of the times when Grant was just doing his big, slow passion projects where, you know, the foundry and the metal melter and the spot welder, and a lot of those cool projects were fantastic, but he was putting out videos slower. Individual video views were quite good on a lot of those, but they were not always amazing.
That kept going for a while. The channel was doing great.
Hey guys, I'm sure you've heard the news by now, but we lost Grant Monday evening in a paramotoring accident. Today's video is in his memory.
Grant had very little hands-on control, like direction of the channel for about a year before he passed. This was his goal. That was one of the main reasons he got out of hosting in the first place, is he wanted to spend more time with his family and his passion projects, whatever he was interested in. And so he had built up a system where he didn't have to be so hands-on and directly involved. He had given general direction for what we should do on the channel, types and number of videos to put out, but yeah, he'd been intentionally moving away from that. For the 6 months before he passed, he had done virtually nothing.
So in conclusion of this part, Grant had moved away from this channel earlier in 2019, and his passing had not had such a big impact on the views as he would have had earlier, but it still had been a big hit to his fan base. Rest in peace, Grant. You will be missed.
He had set up systems so that he didn't have to, which meant that after he passed, we already knew how to run everything, and we kept running it the same way. Grant's wife, Jonny, said that it was her desire that we continue the channel the way that Grant had been directing, the way that he had said to do it, and so we did.
The passing never directly influenced the relevancy of the channel, and Nate and Kelly continued Grant's legacy of educational videos.
But in late spring, early summer of 2020, something with YouTube or the world changed, and the views started dropping off. And this wasn't like a slight change, this was a major and severe drop.
Since then, the views have been on a steady decline, but one of their friends, who is a producer in California, got an idea. Increasing the video production would have boosted the channel and the algorithm again. Hiring more groups and hosts would have meant more content or more views, but it didn't really help. Right now, in early 2022, not much has changed since 2020.
Nothing we were doing was making a turnaround. Like, we weren't seeing the views increase, we weren't seeing subscribers increase the same way, and so we had to come up with something else to do.
All the full-time employees got an idea to turn around and revamp the style of the channel. It was quality over quantity, not 7 videos a week, but maybe 2 a month. It would have been the king of random renaissance. It wasn't received very well by management, but they tried it anyways. The videos costed a lot more, so the management decided to reduce staff, and they let Kelly go. There was a conspiracy that it was because of her coming out about her sexuality.
I don't believe that is the case. I don't think that's why they let her go.
I personally must agree with Nate and don't think it was a big role in the management letting her go, but even that didn't really help.
But again, if you look at Social Blade, you can kind of see the trends of what the views were like, and nothing we were doing seems to be making a clear turnaround.
Right now, the view count sits at 3.3 billion views and it's still slowly increasing, but most of the views come from the old videos. These days, an average The King of Random video hardly ever hits more than 300,000 views, which is not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot less. The only thing I see happening to this channel in the future is a slow and painful death. The subscribers stopped increasing around 1.5 years ago, and after Nate and Kaylee got fired, I'm giving The King of Random 1 year to completely stop uploading videos because of financial issues. So what did cause the death of the King of Random channel in the end? Was it Grant's passing, the legal troubles, the new content format? I don't think it was any of these options. In my opinion, it has something to do with YouTube algorithm propagating these kinds of videos. It just stopped being relevant. The The King of Random was one of the most influential educational channels on the site. It built the landscape and environment for modern educational engineering and DIY channels like Mark Rober and many more. And many of our generation feel very nostalgic when returning to those videos. It directly impacted my life too. It started the fire in my mind to start learning stuff like he did and do stuff like he did. A year ago I got into forging, a few months ago I started learning Python and JavaScript and try to understand how do these complex machines work. Thank you to King of Random for the time spent watching your videos. Nate and Grant were the reason why the channel got to the point it's at. After Grant's passing, Kaylee and Nate were trying to keep his legacy and dedicated their lives to learning and teaching. You can find Nate's YouTube and Kaylee's Twitch channel in the description below. I will end it off with this statement. Grant may be gone, but his legacy and influence on this platform will be remembered. Rest in peace, Grant. I hope that you have a lot of projects to do in heaven. Nate and Kaylee, I hope you are both doing well and wish you good luck in the future. Thank you for watching.